Hey, Wumburg World Entertainment, and we got some news regarding Supergirl, which of course comes out next year. It's not particularly good news, it's not surprising news, but it does add more validity to the fact that everybody was saying, is James Gunn really going to allow creatives actually have their own creative vision for all these projects? Because the answer apparently is no. Because what are we being told now from James Gunn himself about Supergirl? Oh, it's like Guardians of the Galaxy. And the amount of responses on Twitter and trades and everywhere else saying, yeah, everything you do, James, is like Guardians of the Galaxy. Problem is, James Gunn was not meant to have any involvement with this one. So the fact that he has obviously put in his crap here to force the creatives into, I want it to be like this, it must add up to this. And we've been hearing this now. We're hearing that a lot of names are turning down offers to work with DC and James Gunn because of this. And we're also hearing that other projects are already starting to stall because of this, because James Gunn is interfering. So let's take a look, because this is stupid. Why is that? Let's put it this way. Why is DC trying to be like Marvel? Why is Supergirl like Guardians of the Galaxy instead of being like, I don't know, Supergirl? Maybe that could be where you go, but no. He says it's like Guardians. So James Gunn once promised every DCU movie would be different. But it's quickly becoming clear that everything is just rinse and repeat another version of his Guardians of the Galaxy movies at Marvel. Gunn has been facing criticism for his approach to the DCU, where it seems he doesn't care what the fans think and that it's all about himself. One of the criticisms has been that, so far, every DCU project, all from Gunn, has been the same, which includes Creature Commandos, Superman and Peacemaker. It's all basically been the same story. Throw in a ragtag group of characters, add in goofiness, throw in songs, and have them face an enemy. That's been Gunn's approach to everything, and many fans feel it's getting old fast. And yes, that is one of the biggest criticisms. It's like everything is the exact same. He cannot do individual characters. He has to do these ensemble pieces, which works for certain characters. But when you put Superman in there and stuff, it doesn't work with a character like Superman. It sure as hell ain't going to work with a character like Batman. And keep that in mind, because James Gunn is the one that's working on Batman Brave and the Bold. So, which also just shows you how much interference he really does, which I've spoken about before. Like, Andy Muschietti was meant to be director of that, so you'd think his influence would be going towards the story, and then all of a sudden we were told Muschietti was getting pushed aside. He was still going to direct it, but he's going to have no involvement with the script or the story or anything. And Gunn says, don't worry, he'll be the first to see a finished script. It's like, this dude signed on to work on the movie, possibly thinking he was going to get to actually form the story. But no, James Gunn immediately took it away from him. So it's not going to work, this crap, over and over and over again. And now, as we're about to be seeing, this is going to be happening with movies and stories that Gunn's not supposed to have anything to do with. So now, in an interview with Rolling Stone about the Peacemaker Season 2 final, which has also been facing criticism, it's the lowest rated episode of all of Peacemaker, by the way, Gunn is questioned about the direction of his DCU. Rolling Stone actually points out that Gunn's DCU is a take on present day politics and social issues. So it's saying, you've made a key part of the DCU going forward about a government official abusing their power by having masked thugs come in the middle of the night and expel innocent people from the planet. Talk about beating you over the head with this crap. The article says that Gunn grins with his answer, which sounds like sarcasm. So this is what he said. It's just totally fiction, Brian. This is like something that can even happen on our planet. But that's the beauty of things like comic books. You can explore things that would never ever happen on our world. So I'm assuming the sarcasm is the fact that he's kind of wink wink, it's happening on our world. So Gunn is asked about an escalating war storyline happening in the DCU and is asked if we'll be seeing it in Supergirl and Lanterns, and whether or not the war storyline in Gunn's story or part of a larger story. Gunn responds with the mention of comparing Supergirl to Guardians. Note, it has been said Gunn was on set directing scenes. That right there, that's the first I've heard of that. That is incredibly concerning. And I would not be surprised if we see more directors walking away if this is the case. If your movie is taken over by James Gunn, who wants to come in and start directing it, why? I would walk away. I would absolutely walk away. I'd still make them pay me for being there, but I would walk away and go, you know what, screw this. You hired me to do the job and now you're coming in to film scenes in my movie. No, that's not happening. But this is what he says anyway. No, both these things are worked in. We knew both of those stories were part of what we originally put together. So they're part of the overall tapestry, but they're also their own thing. Supergirl especially is a space adventure. It's like Guardians. Lanterns is its own thing. There's just a longer, sort of a bigger world we're building with all these different pieces, and they do all come together and interact, sometimes in a story fashion and sometimes just in a, here's another piece of the world fashion. So the part there where he says, now it does seem to be a throwaway line of, oh, it's like Guardians. It clearly what he's saying is it's a space adventure. It's like Guardians. That means you're going to have all these misfits together again. And we know Lobo's going to be in here as well. So yeah, it's just going to be, she's clearly going, like Supergirl, she's clearly going to be like the Star-Lord, just this misfit, which we already know she is because she's going to be a down and out, basically, alcoholic, which we've seen. Eve's even said her life is chaos and stuff. So yeah. Gunn also adds that there are other bigger story arcs, particularly for Lanterns. Insiders have actually filled us in that Lantern starts off grounded but gets into heavy sci-fi and is really good. Fine, whatever. The fact that you're looking at this is horrible, and the fact that you can't, you have to look at it from the point of view of, if he's starting to walk into other people's projects and starting to actually physically take over, that's not good. It's like, you hired us to do these stories while you were working on these stories. Why the hell are you on our set filming scenes? That is not what any director would be signing up for. And that is nothing anybody would be agreeing to. And it says like here, James Gunn said every DCU project has a different tone. The Suicide Squad, goofy. Peacemaker, goofy. Creature Commandos, goofy. Superman, goofy. Supergirl, goofy. Clayface, goofy. And question mark. Now, we don't know about Clayface at this stage, but God only knows. Is he going to start walking in there and, like, taking over that movie? And then, of course, Supergirl hits theaters on June 26th of 2026, directed by Craig Gillespie. What was it at this stage? And stars Millie Alcock as Supergirl with Jason Momoa as Lobo. The villain, Krem of the Yellow Hills, is played by Matthias, however you pronounce his second name. Lanterns is set to debut in early 2026. Now, the reason I said that way is because they have the number saying 20267. Just so you know. So it's like, well, what? So It's obviously meant to say 2026, and they accidentally put the 7 in there as well, but either way. So that's on HBO Max and stars Kyle Chandler and Hal Jordan. Or sorry, as Hal Jordan. And with Aaron Perrier as John Stewart. So Lantern seems to be the only thing people are somewhat interested in because it's meant to be grounded. Problem is, though, when the first image and only image really they've put out is like, wow, that's the most generic thing we've ever seen. That could be anything. That could be a police procedural series. That could be a comedy series. That could be some mob series. That could be anything. Nothing about it was like, oh, two dudes in casual clothes walking down a road. It's like, that could be anything. So his first impressions with all these things is never good, but if he is starting to interfere to the point he's taking over and starting to film scenes, which would indicate that he absolutely wants these things to fit into his vision and his style of filmmaking, the DCU is doomed. It's probably already doomed, but yeah, that's seriously bad. And I can see a lot of directors not willing to work for him. Of course, if it's true what happens if Paramount take over and they get rid of him, they won't have to, but overall, at this stage, just end it all. Like, seriously, all the superhero stuff, just put it to bed for about 10, maybe even 15 years, then bring it back, because at this stage, it's all really the same, and it's just boring at this stage, and you've no new ideas. You just keep skipping to the end of the comic runs rather than the beginning and flushing them out. So what's the point at this stage? But let me know what you guys think of this. Do you think Supergirl will end up being like Guardians of the Galaxy? What do you think in particular about James Gunn taking over scenes to direct scenes for Supergirl? Because that is concerning. Let me know what you think about all this anyway. And with that, I shall leave it there for this one. So do like, share, subscribe, hit the hype button, all that stuff. Cheers. Catch you in the next one.